Yes, yesterday we finished the Mishnah on Chaf Chesam at Bais, and the Mishnah was talking about if a judge makes a verdict that's incorrect. So we said that the verdict is finished, it's complete, and he has to pay. The judge has to pay from his own house what the damage that he caused. Then we said, however, if he was an expert, then he doesn't have to pay. It means that you can't tell him, why did you judge? You shouldn't have done this. He was doing his work. He was doing what he was supposed to do, and people make mistakes, and it wasn't that's what happens in work, and that you can't claim to him that he was negligent or something. No, that's what he thought, and so he doesn't have to pay. We're going to start from the Gemara. The Gemara says,
Does that still apply today? That if a judge does wrong and is proven wrong, he has to pay? I'm just kind of curious. You sit in a house.
If you're able to take the money back and exchange the money back, then even if it's proven that it was that it was incorrect, so then you would put the money back. It needs to be a case where, because of his verdict, everything is lost, and you can't retract. And
does it apply today? Do you know? Or?
I don't know.
Today
I know in every case there's always someone that wins and someone that loses, and the one that loses always says that you didn't judge me correct,
okay, but you have to have
and I want to go to another court.
But don't you have to have proof? You can't just say it.
Yeah. They try to go to another court, and they'll usually get an ear in another court. They'll say something.
Other Beit Din will take it?
There is such a thing as a Beis Din Agadol or
Today?
In Shulchan Aruch. I don't know.
No. But he's asking. I have the same question about how it practically works today.
I don't know. I don't have enough experience in that.
Because today we don't really have a mechanism or a procedure for someone to appeal the decision, or do we?
I'm not sure. Gemara says, Lema Tanan, shall we say that our Mishnah stomach Reb Meir? It's not putting a name in our Mishnah, but it's referring to the opinion of Reb Meir. Why? The Don Dina de Garmi. Garmi is when you don't do something with your hands directly, but nevertheless you're enough of a cause that you become obligated. And an example for that, the Gemara's example is, if you have a vineyard, and over the fence from the vineyard is a grain field. Now, if the fence of the vineyard breaks down, then the grain is considered like it grew in the vineyard, and that's kalayim. The grain becomes forbidden. So the fence fell down. You told the owner to build up your fence. You're going to make his grain forbidden, because usually kalayim you're allowed to eat. You're not allowed to do it. You're allowed to eat. By a vineyard, you're not even allowed to eat it. You're not allowed to benefit from it. So you're going to cause his grain to be damaged. So if the person doesn't build it up, and it grows 1/200th more of, in other words, he left it for a certain amount of time that it could have increased with getting nourishment from the vineyard, nutrients from the vineyard, so it becomes forbidden. So we go to the owner of the vineyard and you say, I know you didn't do anything on your own. You didn't make it grow from the vineyard. You just didn't build up your fence. That not building up your fence made someone's grain forbidden. Reb Meir says you're chayav. The Chacham say you're patur, but Reb Meir says you're chayav. So our Gemara is similar to that, because our Gemara, what happened? The judge said, you owe him money, or you don't owe him money. And really you did owe, or really you didn't owe. It was really the opposite. So the judge didn't do anything. The judge just said something. So the other guy gives the money over, and then the guy disappears, and it's all gone. So you can't get it back. So that's a grama. Garmi is the term. grama is pater, garmi is chayiv, and the difference is very confusing, but it does have to do with how direct it was.
I mean, I don't know how much time you want to spend on it, but there's absolutely no connection between the two cases.
Which two cases?
Between the vineyard and
the vineyard and the judge.
It's as many, right? Right.
Except they're both indirect causes of damage.
I mean, one is east, one is west.
Right.
Apples to apples.
Other examples where if someone puts someone puts a ladder up. Someone puts a ladder up to his friend's bird nest, and it allows the animals to climb up. That was a case of grama, and etc. Okay.
I've never understood the distinction as it's used in halakha.
Yeah,
in theory,
the Rishonim don't.
How
So we have this is posed as a question. Are we saying that it's the Stam Mishnah's Reb Meir, which argues against the Chachamim? And I guess apparently we didn't want to rule like Reb Meir. The Gemara explains, Kigayin, Amar Bilam, Amar Rav. Rabbi Allah says the name of Rav, Kigayin Shinasav Nasim Biyad. Here it's not grama. Here, the judge actually did it himself. He took the money from the guy, and he handed it over to the other guy. He told the guy, "Come here, take out your wallet." He shows him the wallet. The judge said, "Okay, this $200 belongs to him," and he takes it and he gets. The judge didn't cause it; he did it. This case makes sense if he told one guy that he's guilty and really he was innocent. And what did he do? He took money from him and he gave it to the other guy. When he actually took the money from him and handed it. But if a guy owed money and the judge says you're innocent, you don't owe anything. So hey Chidami, how do you have the case that the judge actually did something? What do you do? How do you move with your hand money that doesn't need to go anywhere? So idam alei paterata. If he says, you don't have to pay. He didn't move it at all. The judge didn't do it with his hand. The Gemara explains, really, the guy owed money, the borrower owed money. The lender had a mashkin, had a collateral that he could have used as a collection. So the judge says, you don't owe the money. So the lender has the collateral there. The judge takes the collateral and gives it back. So now, what he's telling him is that he's exempt, but he actually did an action that went along with it that would be avoiding the rules of garmi. Rather, it would be a direct damage. Okay, now we're going to discuss the same thing by timei satar. What happens by timei satar? He tells the person that your produce is tamei, and really it wasn't tamei. So the judge has to pay. Why does he have to pay? He didn't do anything. It wasn't him. He just made a statement. All of a sudden he has to pay. That's garmi. That because of that, because he said it's tamei, the other person sold it for less or ate it with whatever. But the judge didn't do that. The Gemara explains the agabu sheretz. This was a very dynamic judge. When he said a ruling, he actually would act it out to show to the extremes. So he said, your produce is tamei, here. And he takes a sheretz from the ground, a dead lizard or something, and he touches it to the thing. He says, now you have no questions. It's tamei. So then he actually made it tamei, so then he would be chayiv. You follow? It's not indirect. Tiyar asatame. Let's say the opposite. He says your produce is fine. So the other guy takes his produce and mixes it with his other things. Really, it was tamei. He ruined all his things, but it was all based on the words. We're on 28, to be right before the Mishnah, right before the second Mishnah, because there's 3 Mishnayos on this page. So. So how did he do it directly? The Gemara explains, he took the produce that was questionable, the judge took it, and he mixed it into the other person's grain. that was pure, saying, "Look at how pure it is. Here, you have no problem with it. Watch." And he mixes it in, and then comes along another sage and says, "You were mistaken. This was really tummy." So the first judge did something direct to cause that damage.
Yeah, but he wanted to be Torah it by making it bato barav, and you can't do that a priori. It's only if it happened to fall in.
He wasn't trying to make it bato barav. He was trying to tell him that, look, you have no problem with this stuff. Maybe the person was like hesitant. He said, "Really, Rabbi, it's not a problem?" The Rabbi said, "Yeah, it's no problem here," and he threw it into his other things. And
I thought he was just
so he
trying
was
to
being
cover
dramatic. And look at the next case. Look at this Mishnah. Ma'aseh bepara shenitla ha'im shala. It was a story of a cow that was missing its womb. It had a hysterectomy. He took out the womb. Or maybe they just opened it up and what do you know? There's no womb here. So odd. Ve'echila Reb Tarfon l'klavim. And Reb Tarfon fed the animal to the dogs. Said it's a treifa. You can't eat this. It's not kosher. It's missing a part of the body. More of the Chachamim heard about this. Yavna, they were in Yavna. You know, the sages, the yeshivas had to move 10 times. So 2 of those 10 times was in Yavna. No, I think 10 times was in Yavna. So v'tirua, and they said that it was permissible. Now she'amar tudus hareifa, the doctor tudus says that's really gallon. No, I'm kidding. He says, "Ein para b'chazir yotzim Alexandria shel Mitzrayim she'ein chayt chaneim shala b'shvil shalei teled." They had these special cows and pigs that were bred in Alexandria. That when they would sell them, they didn't want to lose their monopoly on this, so they would take out the womb so that it wouldn't be able to breed in any other country.
Wow.
They would sterilize it. So, and that's a proof that it obviously can live. They were selling it like that. So, why is it a treifa? Reb Tarfon made a mistake. Reb Tarfon said, "Holcha chamarcha Tarfon." Tarfon, he spoke about himself in third person. He says, "Tarfon, you lost your donkey." That means that he was going to have to pay for this. Maybe he lost his car today. I'll have to give up my car to pay for this mistake. Amalei Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva tells him, Rabbi, Tarfon is different Gersoiser. He tells him, Rabbi, Atamum Chalabezdin. You don't have to pay for it. You were an expert. And V'chol Mum Chalabezdin Patam Shalim. Yeah, if you made a mistake, you made a mistake. It's not like today. The doctors need huge insurance things and all of that. The doctor, where he's took the course, should know what he's doing. He's accepted. That happens sometimes, but that's in halacha. That's how it is. Okay, he made a mistake, but it's not like it was negligence. He did what he was supposed to do. The Gemara now asks, "V'tepikle b'tah b'dvar mishnah, b'tah b'dvar mishnah chesed." This is a very interesting question. There's different types of mistakes. There's one type of mistake that's so bad that it's not even considered like you did anything.
Wow.
It was like not even a verdict. Tell you bidvar mishnah. It's just, the whole thing doesn't exist. So we said, look, we have a mishnah that says that nitla ha'im is kshera. If the womb is removed, the animal is still a kosher animal. It doesn't become a treifa. Reb Tarfon made a mistake in a Dvar Mishnah. Why did Reb Tarfon think that is chayev? It's not even considered a psak. It's not considered anything. If it was a psak, that was wrong. Fine, but this was nothing. It simply doesn't count. You see, the logic is you could take
case,
it.
What's Ve'echila Reb Tarfon? He himself took the cow and gave it to the dogs.
Tell me again, what was that?
Remember we made a differentiation between the judge actually
right
handling it or
right.
not.
That's
It's a
good
very
question.
strange term where it says
Ve'echila.
ve'echila.
That's a good question.
It could have said ve'echilu, and they took it, but he himself took the cows after he was gone.
How do they translate it in the English in the Mishnah when it says, does it say Reb Tarfon fed it, or he caused it to be?
And Rav Tarfon had the cow fed,
Had the cow. Has had.
because we just made the difference before.
Right.
I don't know if this is correct thought, but in the past I thought that because a dayan really has the obligation to implement the decision himself. The shotrin are there to help him. It's his obligation to implement a decision. So he makes the shotrin because they're Jews. He makes them shluchim. It's as if he himself is doing it. That maybe that's
but I don't
wrong,
know
but
if that
that's how
makes.
I.
When it comes to shlichus, it would sound like it would be a shliach l'dvar avera. It wouldn't be associated back. I don't know if that. If
I
that
think
was
you
valid.
make a shliach to damage someone.
Well,
Not possible.
he doesn't know that.
Unless you're right.
He
Because
doesn't
the
know
svara
that
bein
he's
shliach
damaging. He
l'dvar
thinks
avera
he's-
is divrei Rav and divrei Talmud. You have to listen to Hashem. Don't listen to the. You may be right. Okay, the only thing I can think of with this, your question, Reb Chaim, about he would have to have fed it together. He would have to have mamish fed it himself, which doesn't make sense. Reb Tarfon fed it to the dog, and also all the Rishonim are saying ve'echil leklavim. They're saying because he said that it's treifah. It was just a statement.
Okay.
So maybe we take a pasuk like Reb Meir, that you don't need to do it. We were just saying our Mishnah is going. It was saying a stam Mishnah like Reb Meir, but really the Reb Tarfon was accepting Reb Meir. Okay, so we asked the question that why is it considered anything? The Gemara answer is very simple. Chodavayt ka'amar. You have two reasons why Reb Tarfon should be potter. Chodav detar b'dvar Mishnah chayzer. First of all, you retract. It's not considered a verdict at all. Second of all, va'oy dinami b'shikol adas tisa. Even if we'll say that it was with shikol adas. Shikol adas means with logic. It was a wrong decision, wrong assessment. So mumcha lebezdanata. For a second reason, you're exempt. First, because you were allowed to rule. You're an expert. If you're an expert, then you're exempt.
So there were two reasons.
Two reasons.
That he shouldn't have.
Yeah, in others, we were asking,
Not the best.
why didn't he say the other reason? So we said, well, this one's also correct. He meant not only that, but also even this one is also a second reason.
Then are they allowed, the judge, to change a verdict or opinion later on if additional new information is available that was not available at the time of his making his verdict?
Could be. Could be.
Because that would make sense. It's like a new trial. No one knew this. Now we find this out.
Uh-huh. Could be.
I don't know if that applies here, but
In the conversation here, Rabbi Akiva is telling Reb Tarfon that you're exempt. He has two ways of telling him. Either he can compliment him or he can insult him. He could say, "You made such a bad mistake that
Was he a student?
He must have been a student friend, a contemporary, but Rabbi Akiva was a
He
student
was a
of his
student.
contemporary.
You couldn't tell him that.
Right. So he had the choice of telling him, "You're a mumcha l'rabim, you're a mumcha lebezdin, you're the expert, so therefore you're exempt." Or he could have said, "You made such a bad mistake that what you did doesn't count anyway." He told him that you're a mumcha lebezdin, and so the Gemara is asking, why didn't he tell him that he's?
Why did the Gemara answer? Because he was a student.
Maybe because makom she'ishchil Hashem in chalkin kavod l'rav or something. I don't know.
No.
You're not supposed to give respect.
It doesn't say if they're contemporaries or.
Here's Rabbi Akiva, and here's Reb Tarfon.
He's above him.
Slightly.
Uh-huh.
See, Rabbi Akiva became one of this group.
Yeah,
he became one of this group. You see that in the Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva becomes in the center. So, but they were his teachers anyway. They were his teachers, and then okay. Next Mishnah. If someone makes a business, takes money, payment, to check a bechor to see if it has a mum, so in shechtan al piv, you can't use him. Elam ken hayamumcha, unless he's an expert. Keila, what's the vowel in there? Ke'ayala. That's the yeah. They have keila. You have ke'ayala. Keila, the Yavna, like Eila in Yavna. Sheitir lechachamim liyasnei l'arba yisaris lebehim adaka v'shisha legasa bein tama bein balmum. The sages allowed him to take payment. What would he take? They allowed him to take 4 iser, which is a ma, for a small animal. 2 iser is a pundin is a ma. Shisha lagas, and he would take 6 iser for a large animal. The Gemara is going to explain why. But he would take the money bein tam bein balmum, whether it had a blemish or not. Now Eila,
Go for it.
Eila, the Rashi tells us he was a chassid. So I went to a shir once from this fellow. His name is Rabbi Yeshua Cohen. He knows the whole Shas by heart. In Muncie, he lived in Muncie. We called him Shas Cohen. And he's wild. He's like, when you talk to he's wild. He talks wild. Like he throws out page this, page that, page this, page that. And so anyway, he said it says 56 times in Shas the word chassid. Rashi doesn't explain 50 of them. He only explains 6 of them. 5 of them it says lifnim shir sedin, and 1 of them it says that he's mevater on his money, even though it could be that he's chayiv, but he gives up. He allows the other person to win. So in that one instance of that extra explanation that we get from Rashi, we see it here again. Then Eila, Rashi calls him a chassid. He wasn't influenced by the money, by the payment. My timer. What's the reason that there's a difference between a small animal and a large animal? High nafesh tircha v'high loy nafesh tircha. You see, you have to check the animal. So a small animal, you can put it down, and you look at it underneath. You see what's the thing. A large animal, it's a big job to turn the animal over if you have to start looking at it. You see, the doctors would do this just the opposite. If you have to examine an adult, but you have to examine a child, you have to go through all of that. That costs more money. Because the kid starts crying and thing. It's a whole...
It's true that kids are not little adults. They're totally different individuals, and the approach medically and diagnostically is different. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that.
Bein tam, bein balmum. Whether a perfect animal,
they
whether
come
it has
with
a
their
blemish.
mothers, which is an extra surcharge.
And whether it's a balmum. Bishleim a balmum mishum de kasharilei. You understand why he's taking money.
Where's the
for the moon.
For the mum.
Yeah.
He said he did a service here. He told him that it has a mum. Now you can go shecht it.
Because it's in the hands of the Kohen already.
It must be in the hands of the Kohen.
And that was why I was confused yesterday. I hadn't understood yesterday that we were talking about psak din when it was already in the hands of the Kohen.
So if it's in the hands of the Kohen, so then the Kohen is the one that wants the heter.
Right.
Very good. Elatam, but if it doesn't have a mum, Amai, why is he taking money for that? The guy comes in, he says, yeah, you got a problem, you have to wait a little longer. So the Gemara explains, Dim Kain, if he doesn't take money, Asi Lamichshadei, we're going to suspect, Va'amri, and they're going to say, Hi Balmum, that this Balmum, Tamhu. The one that he said is a Balmum is really a Tam. V'hai de Kasharilei, and this that he said that it's a Balmum, Mishamagra, because he wanted to get paid. So if you're only going to get paid When it's a balmum, then you're going to end up suspecting that maybe the reason why you said it's balmum is to get paid. They say you go to get the eyes examined, and there's a glasses store right outside the thing, that the doctor inside owns the glasses store. You can be sure that, that you're going to walk out with a prescription, and the guy's going to sell you a pair of glasses. So that's not going to work. So ihachi, if so, tam nami amri balmumhu v'haydalei kashari lei. Even if it doesn't have a blemish, we're going to say that really it's a balmum. Really, it does have a blemish. But this that he says that it doesn't have, this that he says that it's a tam, he's going to want him to come back another time. You don't want to do it so fast. You can get paid double here. He's going to come back a day later and say, no, it has another scratch. Is this okay? And so he's going to prolong it. Every time he comes back, he gets paid. So the Gemara explains, Chad zibna t'kina le'rabbanan. Trei zibni le't'kina le'rabbanan. You don't pay twice. You only pay once.
You don't pay for follow-up.
You don't pay for the follow-up. Taisus has a question here, a very interesting question.
By the way, I'm sorry to interject, but this is a common complaint people will have going to doctors. I mean, if the doctor spends a total exam on them, spends 15 minutes, whatever it is, and in the end finds nothing wrong, and then they don't want to pay. What do you mean? You didn't find anything. I mean, it's still the same diagnostic acumen and time and everything, whether it's yes or no.
Right.
I mean,
Sorry about that.
Well, I'm not in clinical practice anymore, so I'm not complaining. But that's a common complaint that people have. Oh, okay. It's like, listen, I'm sorry to tell you, but you have Yenem's machla, and you have 6 months to live. I'm saying
the other room is the doctor's support group. You're missing the
So Taisus has a question here.
Funny. It's right next to the lawyer's room, right?
Taisus' question is that so why will he say it's a tam? He doesn't want the guy to come back. If he doesn't get paid a second time, he'll just say that it's a balmum. He doesn't have to do another. He doesn't want to do follow-up. Right. He doesn't want to do the follow-up. He wants to get this thing over with if it's just going to be a burden. Taisus says that he doesn't need to look at it a second time. You can say, I'm not examining it again. As I told you already once, don't come back to me. Excuse me. And also, it's a minor thing that he was going to have to examine it again. And he was paid. We're not concerned that he's going to lie about it, just so he doesn't have to do that examination. Okay, the next case, the next Mishnah, Hanital Schari Ladan. If someone takes money to judge, Dina B'Telim, his verdict, his rules are nullified, nothing. Lahad, unless he takes money to testify. Edusav B'Telim, his testimony is, what's the word for B'Telim?
Void.
Void, that's good. Lahazes Ulakadesh. If he takes money to sprinkle the paraduma, or to the paraduma water, or to mix the ashes with the water. So meimav meimara, his water is water from a cave, which means it's regular sink water, and afreye for mikla, and his ashes is just ashes from the stove. It's not considered anything.
How would a judge get paid then?
We're gonna see.
Is the Kohen getting Zoy L'chaim and Keva not considered payment?
But not for any services. It's just you give it to him for nothing.
That's a God-given
What do you
obligation
mean?
on
He
our
has to
part.
shecht. He has to go ahead and...
You mean, a carbon, in a carbon in the Beis HaMikdash? In the carbon in the Beis HaMikdash, the Kohanim that are there,
They get the Zoy L'chaim.
they divide it, they get the Chas B'Shaik in other parts of the animal. Zoy L'chaim is on a chulin animal that you have to give, but that doesn't come with any services. Then in the Beis HaMikdash, it does go to the group of Kohanim that are there that day. Go ahead.
It's a
It
tax.
says here that the halach is that the judge is receiving money for the judgment. All his rulings are void, but he can, this is the halacha, but he can accept compensation for his lost earnings, provided that it's evident that at the time he was judging, he could have been earning money from his regular work.
Right. Right.
So there's hope.
So, but it must be that it's kayanim eichlim va'baylim miskaprim. It's actually that's what the kayanim, that's part of the kapara. In my kayan, the wording over here is interesting. You have to adjust it. V'timau mitrumasai, and they made him tameh in order to go sprinkle the paraduma, and now he can't eat truma. So he has to shop in a regular store, because on the way it was a big effort for him to go and sprinkle the paraduma. So all that extra money that he needs to spend now, because he's not at home and he can't eat his truma, he has to shop in a regular store where there's chulin because he's possibly tameh or whatever. So machila mashke v'sachei, that you can provide for him, that extra food,
So
and
the Talmud person who's looking for the sprinkle of water to go ahead and pay
has
for
to
the
pay the
claim.
extra cost. V'im hayazakin, if it's an older person, markiv al chamar, you can ride him on a donkey, v'nais and leiskar kapayal, and he gets paid like a worker. The Gemara is going to explain.
Why talk
That's
about
according to what he lost.
why if a kohen who's lahazis lekadesh, why is it it's batal?
Yeah. It's not like shaychad. It's not like he's going to change anything.
Oh, I'd like to say
So-
something.
Yeah.
It costs you a nickel.
Go ahead.
It's a famous story about Rabbi Marlow's father, who was a dayan in Crown Heights, and he used to, go shopping on the street, and he had a cart, one of these things on wheels. And sometimes when it would be pouring rain, people would stop and offer him a ride home, and he would say, "No, because someday you may come to the Bais Din."
Right.
Wow. You also do that, Rabbi Smith?
No, I just don't take the cases.
For anything.
He used to turn around, I was told, when people would come to get checks to sell their chametz.
So you didn't know.
So he didn't know who gave what.
Uh-huh.
Well, the checklist has the name sometimes.
Well, maybe he just gave it to his wife, so he didn't see her. If they'd give money, he would turn around so he couldn't see
Uh-huh.
who gave and how much. That's a dialogue.
Okay, let's take a look at this Gemara. Yeah, I'm not sure what the big deal is. I mean, what's he going to do different? The guy that's sprinkling the water. It sounds like all of these are sheikhad issues.
Right.
That he may be biased now because you've given him money. I'm not sure what the big deal is. Well, you sprinkle the water, you got paid or you didn't get paid. Why is that invalidated?